In the last episode, we got the Ferrari back to the unit, but with a very low voltage, we couldn't get the car started, meaning I had to leave the car on charge overnight. Now, I was itching to get this car running because it was listed as an engine start program, which essentially means the car starts and runs at idle, but it cannot be driven. It won't actually move forwards. I'd seen on YouTube that Sam Crack bought a Ferrari with the same engine start program, and I was amazed when the delivery driver just reversed it off the truck.
I mean, will it go?
Yeah, it goes perfectly. So, the paddles are right here.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they couldn't figure out. They were trying to do this forward.
Yeah. So if you
reverse, this is only for reverse. You probably have to hit it a couple times before it clicks in. And then
it goes into gear, man.
Yeah, it works. And then neutral to turn it.
Yeah, okay.
Turn it off. You do both paddles.
And so it seemed the auction house testers just didn't know how to get it into gear. With no photographic evidence to suggest why the gearbox could have been damaged on my Ferrari as well, I was hoping the Copart testers had made the same mistake. Well, welcome back to another video, and it's time to try and give this car a start. It's been charging overnight. I've had it on the trickle charger, so it's still only at 10.5 volts. So we've got the charger pack set to jump start, and it's time to give it another go. Let's do it. All right, take 3, I guess. So, ignition on, door closed. That door's open, of course it is. Fingers crossed. It's not working that either, is it? Alright, well, let's unpack it. Well, the voltage isn't really very high, even with that jumper pack on, so I guess it probably still wouldn't have enough voltage, but it should have cranked, so I've got a feeling there's something stopping this from cranking. I suspected there was an immobilizer stopping it from cranking, and whilst I figured out how to disable it, I started stripping down the car. Well, early thoughts are much as expected here. Obviously, we knew this bit was bent, but we can confirm that this bit is also very bent. If I sort of stand in line, sort of here, you can see how it bends out down here, and then it's sort of crushed a bit down here. Whereas you come to this side, it does go out a little bit, but not as much. So yeah, I think we're definitely gonna need a new one of these. And you can see the stress has come through to the back of the light here, and where was it? It's broken down here. That's loose, and then similarly on this side, it's broken here. So there's obviously been some stress go through the car here, and it seems like the brunt of it has been absorbed here and with the slam panel. Okay, well, finally some good news actually. Now, obviously I expected the cross member and the sort of structural bit to need to be replaced, which is fine, but I was also just concerned about the radiator. I budgeted for a new one, but I think we got lucky. So having a look through to the radiator here, doesn't look like the damage has spread to it. And obviously it didn't seem like anything was leaking at the time. Obviously this is sort of partly air intake. The actual frame will need replacing. As you can see, it's broken here. It's meant to come out like this, but obviously it's non-existent here. So that's fine. Air intakes seem fine up here though. And even the radiator, sort of auxiliary radiator down there, also seems fine. So good stuff. At this point, I checked the voltage, and with it up to 12 volts now, it was off to the races as we try to get this pony running. In the meantime, having looked online, I realized to disable the immobilizer, I just had to lock the vehicle and unlock it again.
Okay.
Go again. Charging pack is on. Brake pedal firmly in. Come on, give me life. EPS failure. All the warning lights. Oh wow, we got it running. Holy hell. Alrighty. Let's have a look around. And it sounded great, but like me, I'm sure you want to know whether we could put this car into gear and drive it by simply using the paddle shift. Moment of truth. Will the pedal shift put it into gear? Yeah! Alrighty. Will it let me move? Oh, well, we're moving. We are moving. What engine start program? Oh, that is raw. Steering definitely feels a bit heavy. I think that's because this airbag's in the way. Oh yes, we got a moving running car. Engine start program. Just didn't know that you had to do it here. And then, well, I need 2 hands for this, but to put it back into neutral, you're pushing both paddles at the same time, but it runs and it drives. Come on! With the car incorrectly labelled as non-drivable owing to a massive Copart faux pas, I just had to get the car onto the ramp so we could continue to strip it down. You'll notice here though it seemed to get jammed, and on closer inspection the wing had been pushed back in the accident on the passenger side, so when I was turning the wheels it was getting caught on the mudguard. Because of this, I took to the forklift to spin it around, which allowed me then to just drive it back onto the ramp. And I know I've shouted it out before, but come on, this forklift has become so useful. I cannot begin to explain how excited I am about this. The car that was bought as just an engine start, wouldn't run and drive, is running and it's driving. Come on! Now you might have seen that I had to turn it around with the forklift. Now that wasn't any issue, obviously it was driving, it was reversing. The only thing that was stopping the wheel from turning was it's pushed in down here, so the wheel was actually catching on the bumper. So once we remove the bumper, we'll be able to move it around a lot more freely, but I felt like in this instance, I didn't want to cause any more damage than already is there, so I just used the forklift to turn it around so then I could just reverse it straight back in. God, what a result. How many people would have been put off by the fact that this was apparently not a running, driving car? Well, if I didn't think so before, I do now. We have got an absolute steal with this car. Ferrari California T, £38,000, running, driving, and from what I'm seeing inside, doesn't look too bad structurally either. Come on. Okay, well what I've done is I've put it up on the ramp, taken the front wheels off so we can get the mud lining out, and then that way we'll be able to access the parts that are fitting this bumper on, and we'll be able to get that off. Once we've got the bumper off, we should be able to remove that fender, and well, we'll get much better access to everything in here, so let's do it. The worst bit is this one, which, yeah, just seems to be some kind of like rounded off screw. I don't know what that was meant to be originally. Probably an Allen key, but yeah, none of my Allen keys fit that. And yeah, it'll just spin if I try and move it. On closer inspection, this rounded screw actually screwed into the chassis and not the bumper. So I figured I didn't need to remove it, as I would remove the mudguard up above anyway and still get access to the bolts holding the bumper on. With those bolts off, all I needed to do now to free the bumper was disconnect the parking sensors and front camera, as well as the hose pipe for both headlight washers, and sure enough, off it came. Well, so far so good, very much as expected. This radiator, air intake, absolutely fine over here. Had the body shop round to look at the Sierra. I also asked them about this fender, whether they could repair that. They said, no problem, absolutely. So, nice little touch there. That'll be cheaper than getting a new fender. New wing. I keep saying fender, I don't know why. We will also need a new air intake, which I've alluded to previously. As you can see, it should come out like this. But anyway, that comes as all one big part that sort of builds up towards the radiators. So we will have to strip all this out to be able to swap it over. And then also around this side, this air intake and either auxiliary radiator or oil cooler, not too sure what that is. Absolutely fine, and so is the fender. So pretty good. I'm pretty sure the damage is literally just structural here. I don't think there's been any mechanical damage. Also, another massive plus is that all these wiring looms seem to be absolutely fine. No broken connectors like we had with the DB11 or with the Vantage. So this is the first time we've not had to do any sort of wiring stuff, I'm hoping anyway. It looks absolutely fine. This crash panel down here, also absolutely fine, which again, just so selective, this damage. It's literally just up here. So much so that this has not been touched at all. So we've saved a bit of money not having to replace that as well. And most importantly, looking at the radiator, this also looks fine. I mean, you'd expect it to be near enough if this was untouched, but that should be absolutely fine, and it is. And even if you look underneath, it looks fine and also bone dry. So, all in all, really, really happy. Well, it's almost getting near to home time, but I'm just so happy to be working on this car that I just want to crack on, so that's what we're gonna do. And so on into the evening I went, starting with the untouched crash bar, followed by the bonnet latch. I think I'm just going to cut along here. That should let us get this piece out. So yeah, anyway, I'm not going to film with flame shot going around, so yeah, cut back. So alrighty, perfect. Just cut out a little strip with the angle grinder. So now we should, in theory, be able to free this wire. There we go, that textbook. And with that done, that should free itself. Next up, we had to remove the air filters, and this meant removing the air filter covers, which were just held on with some torque screws. I was beginning to rack up a fair few bolts and screws at this point, so it's worth mentioning that I have been separating these and labeling them all up, which should make the reassembly process run much more smoothly towards the end of the build. To remove the cover fully, I had to disconnect the air hose that connects to the cover, and these were both held on by a screw at the top and underneath. Well, we can now see the air filters, and obviously this one is, well, crumpled, but the thing I wanted to point out was just how clean they are, which again is leading me to think that this car has literally, well, a couple thousand miles ago, maybe not even, just been serviced, because yeah, these look immaculate, and that we can definitely keep. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure if you can almost straighten it out. Maybe someone let me know down in the comments below whether this is salvageable, or do I just get a new air filter? Because if it is salvageable, then, you know, I'll do that, because it looks absolutely fine. This dirt that's here was just me just now being a bit of a tip. But anyway, these just lift out. So that's what we're going to do. And then that exposes the main sort of air filter, or trim, I guess. I don't know what to call it. And this we should just be able to bolt off now. With the filters removed, we can now remove the whole air duct, which was held on with 3 bolts on the top,
2 bolts on the right and 3 bolts on the bottom, but interestingly none on the left hand side.
Well, as expected, radiator is absolutely fine. Good stuff. Just having a look at trying to get this out at the moment. I've sort of tried getting the angle grinder in there, but I feel like it's probably an easier way of doing it. Yeah, just trying to pick this one apart a little bit. I think, unfortunately, well, actually, just having a look now, that looks like it's bent as well. What does it look like on the other end? Oh, there you go. That end is completely flush. I don't know if it'll focus on that. That is flush down there. But you can see it's lifted here as well. So we're actually going to need to replace this part and this part and this part. And then obviously the beam that I've taken out on the bottom is absolutely fine. That's over there. Black one, but that white one there that was going across here is going to need replacing. Well, in terms of the headlights, obviously the headlights are fine, but the brackets are broken. Now, I can actually get this to line up properly. With one hand, it's a little bit more awkward. There you go. Now, when they kind of click in like this, I've got a feeling if I just did a little plastic weld there and down here, this will be good to go. I won't actually need to replace these brackets. I've got a feeling I should, on all these parts, be able to sort of plastic weld them back together. So yeah, again, should save us a bit of money. So that's been quite a long day with a lot of progress. We've near enough stripped the whole front end, which is great. I've been able to have a better look at what parts we need. And now when I'm ordering the parts, I have total confidence that I'm not just spending money for nothing and we're not gonna have to keep adding more and more parts onto it. So yeah, pretty happy. Anyway, I thought it might be worth showing you the actual ordering process. So we're gonna cut to me in my flat now and we'll run for it. Yes, hello there. Well, slight change of plan. I've just been editing this behind me here and I can see we're already up to 17 minutes. So the parts ordering, we're gonna wait for next episode, which will be out on Sunday. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one for now. We obviously got a lot done. I'm really enjoying working on the car, so I hope you're really enjoying watching the videos there at home as well. If you are, do hit a like button down below and also subscribe if you're new, because yeah, gonna keep this content coming. Getting into our groove now, so yeah. Thank you for watching, take care, bye bye.